Tesla Motors is an innovative company started by Martin Eberhard, named after Nikola Tesla, an inventor from the 19th to the 20th century. Eberhard created the first ACs. Excuse me. Uh, Nikola created the first ACs. Eberhard started Tesla off of an idea, a concept he had after noticing around his neighborhood that most of his neighbors that were in his neighborhood owned had two types of vehicles, which was an economical vehicle as well as a sports car. So Eberhard's idea that he had was to create a vehicle that had the horsepower as well as economically sound because of the fact of that all of the global warming that was going on right now, they were trying to cut back on a lot of the emissions that were coming off of the vehicles. Eberhard received a good portion of his startup money that he used to start up Tesla off of the economically friendly individuals, the market that wanted to invest into that, um, as well as Elon Musk, who is a new guy on the scene that ultimately voted Eberhard out of his own company.
The £102,000 Tesla Roadster Sport is the fastest electric car on sale and has just had a facelift to tweak its styling and freshen up its interior. In Tesla's own words, it redefines the supercar. So despite its attractive hue trying to give me green thoughts, I'm going to drive it like a supercar. No talk of tailpipe emissions or battery range. No jokes about hippies or milk floats. Just driving. Performance mode gives me the full 288 horsepower, and I'm taping up the battery meter so I'm not tempted to keep checking the range and rein in my enthusiastic driving style. Make sure you give it some mother too. Oh well, don't worry. This is all about finding out if an electric sports car works in the real world for a petrol head like me. I'm going on a typical driving day out, a 150-mile round trip from the outskirts of London to the south coast seaside. The car is supposedly good for over 200 miles between recharges, so I shouldn't even have to think about running out of volts. Now, I know it sounds a bit naff, but let's be honest here. If you spend £100,000 on a supercar, you want people to take a bit of notice. But right now, I'm not getting many heads turning. Maybe they do look. I'm rather worried they'll think I'm just in a £30,000 Lotus. A plus point, though, is that its 375-volt motor produces maximum grunt from a standstill. Now, of course, one place where the Tesla does have supercar performance is on the traffic light Grand Prix. See ya. 3.7 seconds is all it takes to hit 60 miles an hour. That's faster than a Ferrari California. And it's not just the figures that impress, it's the way it achieves them. Something dawned me that, of course, I haven't changed gear at all since we left. Unlike petrol engines where you've got to change gear to keep it in the revs. But now, 50 miles an hour.
Hello. Okay, as you can see, that was a video of the Roadster by Tesla being driven by some British guy, but he was totally awesome. Anyways, my name is Melissa Diaz, and I will be telling you the problems that Tesla have. And this lovely lady to my left will be.
I'm Deborah Broussard, and I'll go over the solutions for the problems that she talks about.
Okay, one of the problems was internal between Tesla, was between Musk and Eberhard. Eberhard was more like about the common person and what appealed to the middle class person, as opposed to Musk being about expense because he had a lot of money. And so they clashed. Like, for instance, Eberhard wanted a fiberglass type glass versus Musk, who wanted the carbon fiber. And so things of that nature made the company kind of question Eberhard's financial perspective on things, which caused the company to.
So basically, the solution for that problem was Musk terminated Eberhard from Tesla, and he hired Michael Marks, who was the former CEO of a company called Flextronics. And basically, Musk felt as though hiring Michael Marks was an advantage for Tesla because of the experience and knowledge that he gained from being the CEO for Flextronics.
And Eberhard, being that he was, well, his reason for him not being able to answer the financial questions that he was being answered was he was more of an engineer and he wasn't a really finance number guys. And because he was kind of bitter, he started blogging about Musk's ideas about the new models and things of that nature. And Musk ended up saying that he was going to sue him for slander and all of that, about all of that issues. A second problem was the pricing. The customers had a concern about the pricing of the electronic cars versus the regular cars and the upkeep and the maintenance of it and what the resale value would be like. And Tesla had to address these problems.
So basically, the solution to that problem would have been a price comparison for Tesla to release to the potential buyers. So the price comparison for the electric cars versus the gas cars would have possibly given the potential buyers a better idea of the amount of money that they would, have to spend in order to purchase one of the electric cars produced by Tesla. Musk released a statement saying that the charging for the car would be free, but that was the only information that was given. Other price or costs for the car, such as maintenance and upkeep, was never discussed by Tesla. So, potential buyers were still, leery about purchasing these electric cars before knowing the exact amount or even a close estimate of, how much it would cost in order to maintain an electric vehicle.
Which brings us to our third issue, limited access to them after them purchasing their vehicles. How far can they drive? Can they do long distance drives? Can they go show their family in Missouri and they live in Maryland, their new expensive $100,000 car? Will there be access to battery areas to charge their batteries? How long will their batteries last? Another instance is that they only had few charging areas set up in the facility, and one of the chargers cost $250,000, and it had to be in close range of an electrical transformer. So that had Tesla trying to think of ways to kind of bring down that problem and make the consumers happy.
So as Melissa mentioned, in order for Tesla to build one charging station, it would cost them $250,000. So a solution to that problem would be possibly for Tesla to maybe contract with either department stores or coffee shops or even a supercenter such as Walmart in order to provide charging stations to the electric car owners. Another issue, as Melissa mentioned, was that the charging stations were not only expensive, but they needed to be built in close proximity to a heavy-duty transformer. So that was another advantage that the Tesla company would have if they contracted with different, department stores. They could possibly sublease the electricity that was being used for these charging stations. One thing that was not mentioned was the amount of time that the car could hold a charge. There were several mentions of how long it took to charge the car, like in order for it to get a full charge, but it was never mentioned how long the charge would hold. Tesla basically mentioned something about the Nissan Leaf being able to be charged with an adapter or a plug, one that you would use like to charge or to run your washing machine or dryer. So Tesla thought of, using that, and that was a pretty good idea for them to do. Something else that they could have thought of was providing portable chargers. Now, these might have been.
So, in conclusion, what was seen in the layout of the Tesla design was a great idea that turned into a reality. Eberhard implemented first mover techniques with his entrance into the alternative fuel sourcing industry. With the lithium battery lighter and more fuel efficient as far as mileage goes, which is a major help to their business strategy. The other companies that had tried to invest into the market of electronic cars didn't even think to tamper into this. So with that, the differentiated strategies that they had, the niche was being to enter eco-friendly market to sell to the individual that wants the horsepower as well as the economical value as well with less emissions. But the downside was investors could not figure out a way to make the pricing as far as with the electronic vehicles to be more adequate for the average consumer. Tesla capitalized though in other areas, which was their unstandardized marketing techniques, their advertising strategies, as well as with their storefront market techniques that they had, and the way that Musk decided to run his company, which was to run it with him being the forefront and his stores selling and putting his product out there for to show to the world by themselves.